All right, guys, what's up? We're on a window job out here in Minnetonka. Nice big window job. We've got a bunch of Kolbe and Kolbe windows. We've got our friend Derek Peterson. He's our trusty window supply rep out with us today. We're doing a little window scope here. So in this video, we're just gonna outline what you guys need to scope out a window job. So that way we can write an estimate and send that to insurance to get a scope and pricing approval prior to ordering windows. So here's your list. Here's the items we need every time. One, you got to do a diagram. Two, we need a pre-measure sheet. Three, you have to identify the existing brand. It's really easy. If you look on the window, there should be markings on the hardware or a little decal on the window. Or if you get a nice pic of the window from about 5-6 feet away and send it over, we'll be able to tell you what it is. Four, you need elevation photos. So you need photos of each side of the house that clearly show all the windows. And then number five, you need interior pics. So go inside the house, take a look, try and snap pics in each room from a distance so we can see what we're dealing with. Are we dealing with oversized trim, drywall returns, areas where the window butts up to tile or wallpaper, or custom trim, stool and apron. There's a bunch of different things that we want to see. And if you guys can get inside, get those interior pics in each room, it's a big help. So I'm gonna walk you guys through how to do this. So first thing is a diagram. So if you look here, I've made a window diagram. It's pretty easy. You do one for each side of the house. I just did it all on one side of a manila folder. And couple little keys to this. So if you look at the diagram and then look at the house, this is the front. You can see I just labeled. I drew all the windows in as they sit on the house. You got some double wides up on top left. You got double wides with transoms or two light casements with transoms here and here. You come over, I drew in the door as a point of reference, crossed it out because there's no damage on it. You can see that layout on the house mimics my diagram. It's the same thing on each side. What you do is then you label the windows, and the window label is going to correspond with your pre-measure sheet. So we'll get into that next. So if you look here, I labeled all these windows. This is F for front, and then 1 for level 1, and then 0.1 for window 1. And then you just go left to right. So F1.1, F1.2, going up to the second level, we go F2.1, F2.2, F2.3, right? And if you look here in your count, this is labeled F1.4 and F1.5. So you still count the opening for the door. This just allows us to look at photos. And if I'm looking at pictures of the house, you can say, hey, window F2.4. And if I don't have a fully labeled diagram, I can look at pictures of the house and know what window you're talking about, right? Or my supply rep can identify the window, or the adjuster. So this is just how we label the windows. Same thing here on the left. And then inside the window, if there's damage on the frame, you write an F. If there's damage on the sash only, you would write an S. So I've filled out the pre-measure sheet here. You can see I've written the location ID here on the left. I've marked the brand as Kolbe. Homeowner information. Exterior color is white. And one other thing, if you look at the back side of the window pre-measure sheet, it gives you all the window style codes, right? So if it's a window that cranks out, it's a casement, right? So this would be a one light casement, and one light means one pane of glass or one window wide. This is a two light or a double wide casement because the window cranks out. So casement windows crank out. Double hung windows slide up and down to open. Gliders or sliders slide left and right. You have transom windows. So like this house, there's transom windows. They're just small units that sit on top. And then you can have half rounds. Awning windows crank out from the bottom. Picture windows are stationary, so they don't open. So you label the window style, and now we're going to show you how to measure. So we're going to go over to the left side and Derek's gonna help us measure a couple windows so we can get out of here. Show you guys this window here. It's an easy window to access. So if you look at the diagram, this would be window L0.1 right there. This is a 2-light casement with transoms. So if you look at my diagram, I wrote L0.1. It's a 2-light casement with transoms. Now we already measured this window, right? So I'll show you how we did that. So Derek, just show these guys how to measure frame size. So these windows, there's damage on the frame here. So we're doing an estimate for full frame window replacement. So you see, just measure the outside of the window. That's 72 inches wide. Always do it in inches. And then we're gonna measure the height. And then we've got 58. So we're gonna write 72 by 58. And the other thing we've got here, we're gonna notate the size of the transom or the height of the transom. That's a 16-inch high transom. So if you look down at our pre-measure sheet, a little windy here today. You've got 72 wide, 58 tall, and down in the notes we wrote 16-inch high transom window. So that's what you do. You go around to each window, you measure, you write the measurements in. If you're measuring sash, we'll show you how to measure a sash quick. So the sash is just the piece of the window that basically cranks out. So the whole unit inside the frame. So you've got here to here. So the sash would be 34 by 40. If you're measuring a Pella sash, you need to measure the visible glass. So this is just for Pella. You would measure this sash at 30, because the visible glass goes from here to here. And it would be 30 by 36 would be the sash size for Pella. All the other brands, you measure the whole sash outside to outside. So this window here would be one 2-light casement window with transoms. This is all one unit. All comes out as one big piece. Or if you're doing sash, it'd be 4 sash.
One thing to note is, say if you come across a house that you see that has damage and you can't identify the proper manufacturer or what it is, always get a really high resolution of basically this area here, maybe the bottom, and then where it comes together here. And then also, when you're on the inside, take a photo of the hardware. And then if there's any markings between the glass on the spacer, note that. And then sometimes you have etching in the corners somewhere. Also note that. Basically, somewhere there's going to be some kind of an identifier of what manufacturer that is. This one happens to be Kolbe, which Kolbe says K&K on the hardware.
Yep.
But otherwise, sometimes it says SB etched into the glass. That might be Shear Brothers. Basically, they might say Crestline or Vetter on the hardware. It's going to say it somewhere, but if by chance it doesn't, then getting those detailed, high-resolution shots of the corners of the frame really gives us a helping hand in figuring out exactly what that is.
Yeah, and we have to identify the brand of window, because depending on what brand of window is in the house, it's going to dictate what we write the estimate for. So like Derek said, this is a Kolbe and Kolbe window. We knew that just right when we walked up to the house. We could tell by the profile of the sash and frame. Kolbe and Kolbe windows always have this big, wide, flat frame piece, and the corners of the sash are always a straight 45-degree angle. The other thing with Kolbe windows is the lip of the sash sits at a 45-degree angle rather than a 90-degree angle, right? So walking up, we can just tell, hey, this is a Kolbe and Kolbe window. If you didn't know that, like Derek was saying, you get a photo from maybe like this distance right here, you know, or something showing us the corners and the center mullion. and shoot that over, and boom, we'll be able to tell you what brand of window that is, probably within about 30 seconds. The other thing, like Derek said, you can look at decal, look for an engraving on the spacer bar. These windows here, the hardware inside on the crankcase, it says K&K for Kolbe Kolbe. So, you know, then you know what brand it is. So we're gonna we're gonna estimate for a Kolbe and Kolbe window. And it's kind of an important piece, you know, when we're writing the estimate. Insurance might also ask for documentation or pics proving what brand the window is. So let's see, what have we discussed? We've gone over the diagram, we've talked about the pre-measure sheet, we've talked about identifying the existing brand. Elevation photos, that's another big piece. So like left side, when you're getting an elevation photo, we need a good clean picture of each side of the home. So that way we can see what we're dealing with from the office. So, you know, if you're trying to get a left side elevation pic, you'd come probably all the way back to about here, right? So we can see all the windows on the house in one good pic, right? If you took that picture from over here, well, guess what? Now there's a window around the corner that we can't see, right? And then when we're writing an estimate, it could be easy to miss that window. So come back, get far enough away from the house to where you can get a nice, good, clean elevation photo. Do that for each side. Sometimes you're just not able to because there might be, you know, space restrictions or whatever. Things might get a little tight, you know, in between this house and the other house, or there might be trees or whatever. So just do the best you can and be accurate in your diagram. So I'll show you guys the diagram again here. If you take a little peek, you can look at the left side of the home. Here, let me zoom out quick. You can look at the left side of the house here, and then you can see my diagram right below, how that matches up. Any windows that aren't damaged, you just cross them out. Include them in the diagram, but cross them out. Show you guys the back real quick. The only tricky thing on this job is it's got a lot of transom windows, so just had to break out the height of the transoms on a lot of these measurements. It's not a big deal, pretty simple. Here, if you look at the back side of the house, I'll show you guys my diagram here. So you can see the diagram, how that corresponds with how the windows are laid out on the back of the house. So anyway, guys, that's a quick little overview on what we need, how to do this stuff. You've gotten some good info. You've seen a Kolbe window up close. You should know how to put together a window scope, diagram. What you'll do is you'll upload all these documents, excuse me, and then send a message into estimating@scgmn.com. Let us know that you need a window estimate written. We'll get on that. It'll take probably 2, 3, 4 weeks to get a window estimate written. We'll send that off to insurance. It'll take those guys 1 or 2 months to approve that estimate. Once the estimate's approved, then we can set what's called a final measure appointment, where we sit down and actually pick out windows and order windows. We're usually doing Marvin, Anderson, Pella, Kolbe windows, sometimes Windsor, but usually it's Marvin, Anderson, and Pella. Some of the best windows on the market. It's all high-end stuff. And anyway, I think that's it for this one, guys. We will see you on the next one. Thanks.